Let's start with our first news. Dana White responded to Colby Covington's claim that he was never offered a fight for the UFC White House event. He addressed the situation during a media discussion and suggested that the promotion is always actively offering fighters opportunities throughout the year. He explained that every time fans hear public comments from fighters denying negotiations, there is usually more context behind the scenes. According to Dana White, the UFC must secure multiple appearances per fighter each year, and if they do not compete, contracts still require payment. He emphasized that the organization is constantly putting forward fight offers, and if Colby Covington was not placed on the White House card, there is absolutely a reason behind it. Dana White added that claims of no offer being made are often misleading, and fans should understand that the negotiations in MMA are complex and ongoing. He stated that if Colby Covington did not end up on the UFC White House lineup, it indicates there was a clear and unavoidable reason for that decision. No further details were provided, but the tone of Dana White's comments suggested confidence in the matchmaking process and the internal decision-making of the promotion. Colby Covington had publicly questioned the UFC White House event plans, stating he was not approached for a bout against Bo Nickel, which sparked debate among fans and analysts about matchmaking transparency. Dana White, however, pushed back on that narrative, insisting that fighters are consistently contacted and that scheduling depends on timing, performance, and business priorities. He reiterated that the UFC roster operates under strict activity expectations, and fighters who do not accept or fit into specific cards may be moved to later events. The discussion reflects ongoing tension between fighter claims and UFC management explanations, particularly regarding high-profile events like the UFC White House card. White maintained that the promotion operates in a constant state of negotiation, where multiple fighters are contacted, but not all publicly confirm or accept offers. Ultimately, Dana White made it clear that absence from a card does not equal absence of opportunity, and that decisions are driven by broader matchmaking considerations within the UFC structure. While Colby Covington's comments fueled speculation online, the UFC leadership stance remained firm, reinforcing that official fight-off always. Move on to another news. Paulo Costa calls out Khamzat Chimaev. After his TKO win over Azamat Murzakanov last night, Paulo Costa immediately shifted his attention and called out Khamzat Chimaev. When you think about what's next, you're going to have a number next to your name in this division come next week. So, is there someone on your radar? Someone you're eyeing to face next? You know, I have a lot of names, but I have a beef with Shimv. I call him Gourmet Chain. I'd like to fight him. And Baggy, you want to go back down to middleweight to fight him? Or do you want to do that at 205? What we can do here? Yeah. Or whatever UFC think he's going to be exciting fight. Paulo Costa made it clear he is targeting a massive showdown, calling out Khamzat Chimaev directly after securing a TKO victory. He explained that there are multiple potential opponents in the division, especially as rankings continue to shift, but Khamzat remains the one name he is focused on. Costa referenced an existing rivalry, saying there is real beef between them, and he is fully open to making the fight happen. He also jokingly referred to Khamzat with a nickname, showing the intensity and personal edge building up between the two fighters. When asked about weight class options, Costa showed flexibility, suggesting the fight could happen at middleweight or even light heavyweight if the UFC approves. His main priority, however, is simply securing the matchup regardless of division. Costa emphasized that he is ready for whatever the UFC decides, as long as the fight delivers excitement and draws attention from fans. The call-out adds another layer of anticipation in the division, with fans already speculating about whether the UFC will move forward with this high-profile clash. Both fighters are known for aggressive styles and strong personalities, making this potential matchup one of the most talked-about scenarios in the division right now. Costa closed his comments by reinforcing that the fight would be exciting, no matter where it takes place or how the promotion chooses to book it, keeping pressure on Khamzat and the UFC matchmaking team as momentum builds around a possible future showdown. Move on to another news. Paulo Costa apologizes to Russians. Then in another interview, Paulo Costa apologized to Russians. If you're confused, during the pre-fight press conference, he said that he hated these Russians. Well, in an interview with Full Send MMA, he clarified that he was mainly just talking about a few people, not all Russians. Here's the clip. I say some bad thing that I grate against Russians. I don't hate them. I say I was misinterpreted. Actually, I think I say I did my mistake. My fault. My bad. I say I hate this Russians. But I was just talking about some Russians like Goch is Mchia. I don't know. Is same part of country. But I love Russians. I love Russians. I love, they are great people. I have connection with some of them in Germany, training there. Sorry, Russian friends, but this is the second in the row that I beat. I hope I can fight the third one, Gourmet Chain. Let's see if I don't think he has balls enough to come up and fight me at 205. But if he wants to do that, I'm here. Paulo Costa later clarified his comments, stating that his earlier words were taken out of context and that he does not hate Russians as a whole. He explained that his frustration was directed at specific individuals rather than an entire nationality. Costa admitted that he made a mistake in how he phrased his comments during the press conference and acknowledged that it caused misunderstanding. He went on to emphasize that he has positive relationships with Russian training partners and respects fighters he has worked with in Germany. According to Costa, the situation was misinterpreted, and he wanted to make it clear that there is no general hatred involved. Despite the apology, Costa still maintained his aggressive stance toward Khamzat Chimaev, continuing to call him out for a potential fight. He claimed this would be the third consecutive opponent from that region that he would like to face, adding intensity to his rivalry narrative. Costa also questioned whether Khamzat would accept the challenge, suggesting he does not believe his rival would move up to 2-5 to take the fight. He concluded by stating that he is ready and available if the UFC decides to make the matchup happen, keeping pressure on both Khamzat and the promotion as interest in the potential fight continues to grow. Move on to another news. Dana White reacts to Jon Jones' retirement comments. White, as usual, appeared at the post-fight press conference where he addressed several key topics. Starting with Jon Jones, White responded to Jones's recent comments about being unsure of his retirement status. He said he wasn't surprised, noting that Jones has always been like that. Says that watching UFC 327 lit a fire in him to compete, and now he's potentially not retired. He's not committing to it. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm retired or not. I'm just taking it day by day, just trying to kind of figure out my body and how I feel and things like that. I tell you what, being here at the UFC right now definitely has given me this fire that I haven't felt in a little bit. So, feels very good to be here. Have you talked to him at all about anything or no? And listen, how is that any different than John's been in the last 10 years? You know what I mean? The way I always looked at, I used to tell Lorenzo, you'll never be able to build a business with this guy. But when he does show up, it's fun. Dana White suggested that Jon Jones's comments are consistent with his long-standing behavior, where uncertainty and shifting decisions have often surrounded his career. He emphasized that Jones has repeatedly gone through phases of activity and inactivity, making his current situation no different from the past. According to White, Jones's presence at UFC 327 appeared to reignite his competitive motivation, even if no official decision has been made regarding retirement. White made it clear that there has been no recent direct conversation with Jones about his status, leaving his future completely open-ended. He reflected on Jones's unpredictable nature, implying that while it creates challenges for planning, it also adds excitement whenever he does step into competition. White also referenced the broader difficulty of building long-term consistency around fighters like Jones, who operate on their own timelines rather than strict schedules. Despite that, he acknowledged that when Jones does compete, the impact and attention around him remain significant. Dana then shifted focus to Josh Howitt's big win, stating that he respects the performance and the result inside the octagon. However, he also made it clear that while he acknowledges Howitt's success as a fighter, he is not particularly fond of his personality outside the cage. He reiterated a familiar stance that in MMA, performance is what matters most, even if personal opinions about fighters vary. White concluded his remarks by balancing respect for athletic achievement with his candid personal perspective, keeping the focus on competition and results rather than character debates as the event analysis continued. Move on to another news. Dana White announces Josh Hockett will face Derek Lewis at UFC White House. Hockett not only secured a massive win and widespread respect from the MMA community, but also earned a major opportunity on the sport's biggest stage. UFC CEO Dana White confirmed that Hockett is set to face Derek Lewis at the upcoming UFC White House event in a potential heavyweight title eliminator. President leans over to me and he says, hold on a second, Mr. President. I stepped away and I called Derek Lewis. I said, Derek, the president just asked me why you're not on the card. Do you want to fight on the White House card? And he goes, of course I do. Tell the president, thank you. I want to do it. Then the Hockett card plays out. The fight plays out. He beats the number 5 ranked guy in the world. And Joe Rogan says, is there still room on the White House card? Went back and talked to him. Hockett versus Derek Lewis was just added to the White House card in the last 10 minutes. President Trump built half of that fight, and Joe Rogan built the other half. Both guys have accepted and agreed for the fight. So, we're adding one more to the White House. Hockett versus Derek Lewis. Pretty badass how that played out organically during the fight. Dana White described how the matchup came together in real time, turning a live event moment into a major UFC announcement. He explained that discussions about Derek Lewis being added to the UFC White House card escalated unexpectedly during interactions involving high-profile figures. According to White, a brief conversation with the president led him to reach out directly to Derek Lewis about competing on the historic card. Lewis immediately accepted the offer, expressing enthusiasm and gratitude for the opportunity to fight on such a massive stage. As the event unfolded, Josh Hockett delivered a statement win against a top 5 ranked opponent, dramatically shifting the landscape of the card. Following the victory, Joe Rogan reportedly raised the question of whether additional space was available on the UFC White House lineup. That moment triggered further discussions backstage, ultimately leading to the official booking of Hockett versus Derek Lewis. White emphasized that the fight was finalized extremely quickly, within minutes, highlighting how fluid matchmaking can be during major UFC events. He credited both the president and Joe Rogan for playing unexpected roles in the development of the matchup, shaping what he described as a truly organic moment. With both fighters agreeing, the heavyweight clash was officially added to the UFC White House event, adding even more excitement to an already stacked card. White concluded by acknowledging how unusual and impressive the entire sequence was, with live action directly influencing high-level UFC matchmaking decisions in real time. Move on to another news. Jiri Prochazka wants a rematch with Carlos Ulberg. Prochazka released a statement on his KO loss to Carlos Ulberg. He said he showed mercy in the fight after seeing Ulberg's knee injury, which cost him the fight. Jiri also says he wants a rematch. And in English, thank you all for support. Just checking the jaw here in hospital. And man, big apologies for my performance tonight. Still can't understand this my stupid mercy in the fight. And God cost me this fight. So I would like to fight the rematch. Because man, that was my fight. That was my fight. And I just gave him this opportunity to catch me. And big apologies to everyone who support me. Jiri Prochazka addressed his knockout loss to Carlos Ulberg, expressing frustration over how the fight ended and how his own decisions influenced the outcome. He explained that during the fight, he showed mercy after noticing what he believed was a knee injury to Ulberg, and he feels that moment changed the direction of the contest. Prochazka admitted that this hesitation cost him the fight, as it allowed Ulberg the opening to capitalize and secure the finish. Despite the loss, Jiri made it clear that he wants an immediate rematch to settle the result under different circumstances. He thanked fans for their support and confirmed he is currently in hospital, getting his jaw checked following the knockout. Prochazka apologized for his performance, repeatedly expressing regret for not finishing the fight when he had control. He described his in-fight decision as a mistake, calling it mercy that ultimately worked against him at a critical moment. According to Jiri, the fight felt like it was his to win, and he believes he gave away a key opportunity that allowed Ulberg back into the contest. He reiterated that he still cannot fully process how the loss happened, emphasizing his disappointment and emotional reaction after the defeat. Prochazka closed by apologizing again to everyone who supports him, acknowledging the disappointment his performance may have caused. His comments now set the stage for potential discussions about a rematch, as fans and analysts debate whether the UFC will run it back, given the controversial nature of how the fight unfolded. Move on to another news. Daniel Cormier says Jiri Prochazka will have to live with not finishing Carlos Ulberg. Daniel Cormier says Jiří Procházka will have to live with the fact that he didn't finish Carlos Ulberg. But I could tell when he was pointing to the ground, like, maybe we just fight right here. Yeah, so you don't have to move me. Jiří is like, he's such a samurai, like he does not want to win by injury. He wanted to give his opponent a chance. Dominic Cruz said, it's kill or be killed. You know that side kick that Khalil Rountree did? Oh, I would have did that. Yeah, because now Jiří has to go home and live with that, right? That's terrible. You could see how hurt he is. But it's about Carlos Ulberg. Carlos Ulberg, as he said, he blew out his knee. Yeah, but the way it rolled up the calf, maybe that's an Achilles or something too, right? There's a lot of things that could be wrong with him, but on that leg, he throws a high kick. Yeah, he's a killer, man. Daniel Cormier reflected on the aftermath of the fight, stating that Jiří Procházka will have to live with the fact that he did not secure the finish when he had the opportunity. He explained that there were moments in the fight where Jiří appeared to hesitate, especially when he seemed to acknowledge his opponent's injury instead of pressing for the finish. According to Cormier, that hesitation is part of Jiří's fighting identity, describing him as a samurai who does not want to win through an opponent's injury. He suggested that Jiří's mindset of showing respect and restraint ultimately played a role in how the fight unfolded and the result that followed. Cormier contrasted this approach with a more aggressive philosophy in MMA, referencing the idea that fights are often kill or be killed at the highest level of competition. He pointed out that in similar situations, some fighters would continue attacking without hesitation to secure the finish immediately. Despite the criticism, Cormier acknowledged the emotional weight Jiří will carry after the loss, emphasizing how difficult it is to process missed opportunities at this level. He also shifted focus to Carlos Ulberg's condition, noting that Ulberg reportedly suffered a serious knee injury during the exchange. Cormier mentioned that the injury could involve multiple areas, including the knee or possibly even the Achilles, depending on how the leg was affected during the sequence. He still gave credit to Ulberg's toughness and striking ability, noting that even with a compromised leg, he remained dangerous and capable of throwing powerful kicks. Cormier concluded by emphasizing the high level of danger in the division, reinforcing that both fighters showed elite skill, intensity, and resilience despite the controversial ending.